Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Katia Figueiredo. I'm very happy to welcome you today to one of the InnoBuyer Open Market Consultation events. Today, the German Aerospace Center will take the center stage, with its challenge called reSHAPE. So, what we have on the agenda for today, we are going to start this session with a warm welcome from Bertrand Verte, who will be setting the stage for the exciting hour of innovation exploration that we have ahead of us. And then you will gain insights into the InnoBuyer program, the driving force that is powered by the European Innovation Council that fuels organizational growth. And then Jagoda from the German Aerospace Center will present a pressing challenge that requires an innovation solution. So obviously, this is an open market consultation event. So you, the attendees that are following this session are, of course, more than welcome to engage with the speakers. And we will have a Q&A section in this event for that. And you will have two different ways for you to participate. When we get there, you can either raise your hands and we will give you the possibility to unmute yourself. Or if you prefer, you can simply use the Q&A box that we have here and write there the questions that you may have, the comments, your remarks, okay? So one practicality, this event is being recorded for dissemination purposes in the scope of the InnoBuyer project. Without any further ado, I would like to introduce you Bertrand Verte from the European Innovation Council to share a few words about today's event.
Oh, thank you very much, Katia. Great to be with you again this afternoon. And I'm saying again because we had already several open market consultation in the last days and today, actually. But this one is a quite challenging one in a very promising sector with a very important organization, important in terms of strategic sectors for us, energy sector, for us Europeans, for the Germans, because it is, yes, as you said, this is the national agency or German Aerospace Center agency that is with us today. So indeed, thank you very much first, Jagoda, and for all your colleagues from the German Aerospace Center. Thank you very much for coming to us and for presenting this very interesting challenge that you're going to present in a moment. But before doing so, why are we all together here today, and whom are we? The European Innovation Council, the IC that I'm working for, is part of the umbrella of European R&I, Research and Innovation Policy. And we are one of the components that is dedicated to more precisely support innovators, researchers, innovators, to become startups, SMEs, to become active on the commercial world, to reach the market. That's our role. So how do we do that? Basically, we are financing researchers and companies by financing via grants, but also via equity. We are taking share in the most promising companies in any sectors, any chemical sector, all over Europe. More than financially supporting these SMEs and startups, we are also offering them some services. And amongst these services that we are offering them, there is this one, the one of trying to close the gap to join actually the demand and the offer. In other words, trying for these companies, for them to find clients, first clients. And in this case, yeah, first clients could be like the German organization for space, and that's the yeah, that's what we are trying to do. In doing so, so you would understand that on one side we are trying to support these companies to reach the market, to find first clients, and on the other side we are also supporting the procurers themselves, the ones that are buying these potential solutions coming from the market, from the SMEs and startup. We are supporting them to reach also their goals, and in this case, Jagoda will explain what they want to do with the reSHAPE project and the challenge of green hydrogen production. And to mention that we are also doing this, the European Innovation Council, because procurement is a tremendous potential lever for all innovators in Europe, because procurement is a big share. If we are talking about public procurement only, public procurement represents something like 15% of the European GDP. 15%, it means something like 2,000 billion euro per year of procurement happening in different public organizations. So our wish is to use at least part of this massive investment, massive procurement, and to gear it towards innovative solutions. So that's exactly the idea of today, where we do have a procurer, public procurer, coming to the market and saying, I have a challenge, I have a specific need, and I would like to use this money that I will use to procure in supporting, let's say, very innovative companies on one side, and on the other side, answering the need I have to have more greener hydrogen. So that's the challenge of the day. I really wish you, Jagoda, and your organization all the very best in this endeavor. Thank you also for you, Katia, and your consortium, composed of F6S, Civitas, and TIC Biomed. All three together, you are supporting us to make these challenges a success. So the floor is back to you, Katia, and thank you very much again.
Thank you, Bertrand, for your kind words. So before giving the word to Jagoda to present their challenge into detail, just a few words about what is InnoBuyer. So InnoBuyer is a project funded by the European Union, as Bertrand was saying, via the European Innovation Council, implemented by these three different organizations, F6S, Civita, and TIC Biomed. And in a nutshell, we can say that InnoBuyer brings together public or private organizations that we call challengers, with innovative SMEs that we call solvers, and jointly they co-create innovative solutions. Up until now, we have been working with a selection of 15 challengers, including the one that you are meeting here today. And we have been supporting them to improve the description of their unmet innovation needs. What we are currently doing, so we are in the second phase of the program, where we are helping the challengers to connect with innovation providers, as we are doing today in this open market consultation event. So let's move now to the most interesting part of this event, why you are here today. So I would like to introduce you Jagoda from the German Aerospace Center, who will present us their challenge. So I'm leaving the floor to you, Jagoda. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for Katia and Bertrand for introducing me. I'm gonna share my screen to present. Okay, so today we're gonna see a short presentation about our challenge from German Aerospace Center. And the title of it is reSHAPE, which is re-engineered simultaneous hydrogen and ammonia production via electrolysis. So we, as a German Aerospace Center, are a public-funded national center for research and development in aerospace, energy, and transportation sector. And the institute that I'm working at is the Institute for Engineering Thermodynamics, which conducts research in energy storage systems and energy conversion technologies, such as fuel cells, electrolyzers, and batteries. Our main research right now focuses on, or one of the main researchers focuses on hydrogen production, where we are international partners in development and implementation strategies for electrolysis system. Our expertise in testing facilities, aiming for optimization and upscaling for production. Our challenge corresponds to a electrolysis setup for simultaneous hydrogen and ammonia production via urea electrolysis. At the moment, most of the hydrogen production is conducted by a proton exchange membrane, which needs high purity of water as well as precious metal catalysts like platinum group metals. Our aim for this challenge is to implement novel anion exchange membrane using non-precious metals, such as nickel, for the anode catalyst. And this will enable the use of high concentrations of urea as an electrolyte, where the conditions of pH would be between 9 to 13. Our goals. So right now we are looking for a solver to develop two functional materials. The first one is an anion exchange membrane suitable for high concentrations of urea. And the second functional material is the nickel-based catalyst or similar, which can be used as the oxygen evolving reaction. And shortly, why the solution is needed and what can be pursued with this functional materials in electrolysis application. Firstly, we may use wastewater like for our electrolyte, such as urine or diesel additive fluid or processed urea solutions. And again, besides the pure hydrogen production at the cathode, we're now opening a new pathway for producing ammonia simultaneously at the anode. At the moment, if we look at the PEM or AEM water electrolysis, we would only have oxygen production at the cathode. And ammonia obviously has several applications in the chemical industry, in the fertilizer productions, or it can also support the denoxification of the diesel cars exhaust line. And lastly, urea is a safer energy carrier to ammonia, and the produced ammonia in our situation would be gas ammonia, but in a water. So still safer than just pure ammonia gas. Our solution requirements are divided into must-have and nice-to-have. So as I said before, we are looking for two things to be co-developed with us. First one is an anion exchange membrane, and the other one is oxygen evolution catalyst, possibly nickel-based. We would like to have the electrolysis cell working in the high urea concentration. And here we're talking at something like 8 mol urea or higher solutions with the pH of 9 to 10, which at the moment seems to be quite troublesome, and most of the use cases require the addition of KOH to elevate the pH. On the other hand, there is some nice to have requirements that we would be happy to pursue, which is functionality of this electrolysis cell also in low concentrations of urea, where we could then use the wastewater, and this is 0.3 mol of urea. We're looking for the development of both the membrane and just the ion exchange ionomer for the better conductive properties and overall cell compatibility. It would be nice if the solution could be already scalable for 16 by 16 centimeters square, so that we could create the catalyst-coated membrane or spectra at DLR and use it in a default system in an electrolyzer, which then would be bigger than what we are talking about right now in just a pilot scope. That would be like an outlook for our future. We wish to achieve a current density of 300 milliamps per centimeter squares at 2 volts, and this is in regards to 8 molar urea solutions or higher. And we would be very happy if the solutions offered would be non-platinum group metals at the catalyst loading. So we're talking about platinum or iridium loading of 0 milligrams. And now the pilot scope. We are hoping to produce 2 functional materials. One is the membrane and one is the catalyst. So on the left-hand side in the circle feedback loop, we would have catalyst development. And the deep purple is what we expect the solver to bring to the table. And then the light purple is what we at DLR would be happy to assist with. And so we hope to create this solution as a co-development. And we would be happy if the solver or the SMEs would provide catalyst development, and if they could do small RDE measurements in pure urea, then in DLR we would do single cell test bench tests in 2 centimeter square cells. Then based on our electrochemical characterizations, we would give a feedback to the solver and decide whether another iteration of the catalysts should be needed. And this is exactly the same procedure that we would hope for the AEM development. So it would be up to the solver to check whether the stability of the membrane is good enough at 70 degrees and 9 molars of urea. Then the same procedure would be handled at DLR, where we do the single cell test bench test and the electrochemical characterization. Based on this feedback, we would decide together whether another iteration is needed or not. And here I have to also say, because of the asterisks at the pilot scope, that at the moment DLR and this challenge maybe is at the reserve list, which means that the action 1 and action 2 which means that we don't know yet if we will progress to the action 3, which then brings fundings to the solver. This will only happen, I think, if another challenges will not find an appropriate solution. So at the moment, we would want to engage in conversations if we could help out with the co-creations in such presented manner, but unfortunately without the funding of the EU at the moment. The pilot conditions. So we hope that the solver would have a previous expertise in membrane science and catalyst development. And the solver needs to have their own development labs, catalyst synthesis abilities, catalyst screening equipment like the rotating disc electrode. And as I previously said, a nice to have membrane production capabilities with the surface area of 16 by 16 centimeters square. This is nice to have, and must have would be 3 by 3 centimeters square, so that this would be enough for our test at DLR, which is 2 by 2 centimeters square single electrolysis cell. And in that case, at DLR, we would proceed with single cell tests of the developed functional materials from the solver with active surface area of 4 centimeters square. Then we would go and proceed with the electrochemical characterization, which is polarization curves, EAS, standard activation protocols, and operation protocols will be employed and developed by DLR. And then together with the solver, we will discuss whether another iteration of the materials is needed or if we already meet the KPIs. And all the iterations of new functional materials supplied by the solver should only be considered within the time frame of 10 months. And the expected KPIs of the pilot is 6 to 10% performance increase of the materials that are available right now. And we hope to achieve once again the 300 milliamperes per centimeter square in 8 molar urea solutions. And as well as we're hoping for 100% platinum group metal catalyst loading reduction. Our catalyst at the anode side that we're hoping for is the nickel-based catalyst, just to bring that back again. And we're hoping that the co-creation between DLR and the solver would decrease the development time for the use case catalyst and membranes that it normally would. Here I present some of the business opportunities. I divided into 3 major sectors with end users to name as energy companies, fertilizer industry, and diesel plants or diesel car private users. Use cases would be electrochemical induced urea to ammonia, potential to be more energy efficient to right now available anion exchange membrane water electrolysis. Moreover, we are hoping to completely exchange the iridium, which is platinum group metal, with nickel and reduce the technology cost. And with that, I just wanted to also say that this also aligns with the EU drive for the energy sector to be more sustainable and for the production of green energy products. The second end user is the fertilizer companies. We're hoping to reduce the CO2 emissions and the energy requirements that can be correlated with the Haber-Bosch ammonia production technology that is right now. And this is one of the biggest industry for the ammonia production right now that we're hoping that we could challenge with this technology. The last but not least is the NOx emission reduction for all the diesel exhaust cars. And here it's both about the huge diesel plants, the marine use cases of the diesel engines, as well as the car private users. And just to say that the diesel engine users only in Europe are 120 million. And the implementation of this technology with the electrolyzer in the exhaust gas line can be easily made with the components that are already existing. Okay, so right now we're at the last point of the slide of the presentation, and this is questions for the solution providers. Just to name a few, I would really like to hear the feedback from you if there's something that you didn't understand, perhaps from my description. Do you see the potential interest? Is your organization interested in this? Is this a vision match? Or you could think of some barriers or any other questions that you might have had during my presentation. I'm looking forward to hearing them.
Thank you so much, Jagoda, for presenting with such detail your challenge. Yes, we are now entering the Q&A part of this event. So the part where we invite you, the attendees, to join us in the discussion to address the questions that you are seeing here on the screen that Jagoda would like to hear your feedback, or to bring other questions for Jagoda to answer, some comments that you may have about what was just presented. So the floor is now open for everyone to join the discussion. Also, Anna from Civita is joining us now for this part of the event as the consortium partner that has been working with Jagoda and her team. So, as I said, to join the discussion, you can either raise your hand, and I can already see one hand raised, good. You can either raise your hand and we will give you the possibility to speak and say your question or your comments. If you prefer, then you can simply use the Q&A box. You can write your question or your comments there and we will read it and address it. So I will start with the hand that is raised. And I'm giving you now the possibility to unmute yourself and share your question or your comments.
Yes, hello. Thanks, Jagoda, for presenting. I have one question, or actually more questions. One of them is, how is the foreseen hydrogen crossover that you're looking at? Or how should the value be? Let's say this.
Okay, right now we are not looking at it because we're a little bit before that step, I would say. We want to focus more on the ammonia production because it's not sufficient at the moment. But for the use case, for example, in diesel cars, this will not be an issue because both ammonia and hydrogen in the selective catalysts will just increase the efficiency of the selective catalysts. So it's not the major issue right now. However, we hope that it's, like 99%, but we will see.
All right. Two more questions. What type of catalyst are you using on the cathode side?
On the cathode, well, it's platinum carbon, but we would be happy to change it as well.
Okay, great. And the third question, which is also a very pressing question, is if the pilot state or level is not financed, how you are going to finance it? You said it's not financed by the EU, right?
Yeah, right. At the moment, it's not financed by EU. I'm hoping that maybe someone at the one of the participants above us will not find a suitable solution so we can have it. But I would also say that just from the from DLR side, we are able to give some of the hours for this co-creation. And yeah, unfortunately not for the solver right now. But I hope that it would be interesting co-creation nevertheless, just having a DLR in our facilities and me and my time in the lab and to create the feedback for the solver. And because essentially we are doing the electrochemical tests.
Yeah, because I think it's because I think it's a very, very interesting topic, very important also for the European Union, also with respect to Fit 55 and all the hydrogen projects that are running the European Union, especially with respect to the goals that we have by 2030 to have all this hydrogen produced in Europe. So I think it's a very important task here, and yeah, I cross my fingers for you that you get the financing for the pilot stage. So that were all my questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions and your great feedback. And so let me check. We have here one question in written form that I think we can actually divide in 4 different questions. So first part, what technology readiness level are you looking for?
Yeah, so definitely it is a research stage, you're right. We're looking for, in the pilot scope, for 10 months, we are hoping to do an RDE in small cells, like 4 centimeter squares. But if it will turn out that we're already meeting our KPIs, we would have the possibility of doing a test in the electrolyzer, so in a stack. Yeah, and I hope, or a different way, from our experience from RDE to already a scale up and the stack production, well, this is just a membrane and catalyst, right? So it should take 2 to 3 years for implementation in real life, in case this actually works.
That's actually one of the questions. Can you describe the development phases until market launch?
So I hope that answered it. But,
and the final part of the question is, are you open to collaborate with research institutions or only SMEs?
I'm open to collaborate with research institutions as well. I think it's great because it's actually the know-how that we're looking for. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Answered. Don't see any hand raised at the moment. Neither any other question. Let me just remind that once this event ends, the discussion doesn't have to end by then. Or if you're watching the recording of this event and you have something to ask or something that you would like to comment, there is the possibility for you to continue the discussion after this event. So the F6S event page that was used to receive registrations for this event has a section called discussion, and that page is open for everyone to go there, post questions, read what has been discussed previously. So the information there is publicly available for everyone, and the discussion can continue there after we finish today's event. I would maybe ask, I don't know, Anna, from the Jagoda's presentation, any point that you think it's worth detailing a little bit more, or I don't know, or is everything super clear?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's clear for me as I'm not the chemist, so I'm not going to pretend it's a piece of cake for me, but I was wondering about more, I was wondering about another thing. You said that it's going to be at the moment it's not financed. We're all hoping that you will have some budget to support the solver. But I think what's also quite important is the potential of the solution and the market potential. You mentioned it briefly, maybe to encourage potential solvers. You could elaborate a bit more on that. So what's the market potential of this solution in future, maybe?
Yeah, okay, I can actually go maybe back to this business opportunities. Yep. So as I said, there are definitely 3 sectors that this system can be used at. Yeah, energy companies for hydrogen production is the first one. So we are hoping to use the anion exchange membranes. So and also this allows us to use no or little of the platinum group metals, which then turns the technology into cheaper compared to the PEM. The other thing, I think it's gonna be probably massively influenced, but later on, is the fertilizer industry. Right now, ammonia is only produced by Haber-Bosch. Yeah, so we could use PEM, but then again, it's highly expensive technology. So in the future, just as a step before the Haber-Bosch, could be the anion exchange membrane technology, and hopefully with the newly discovered catalysts that are nickel-based. And I think one of the biggest ones right now and easiest to implement is the exhaust gases after treatment by NOx reduction in the diesel cars. I hope that answered.
Thank you, Jagoda. So we have here another question in written form. Can somebody from the InnoBuyer team explain what the next step will be? If we feel that we can master the challenge, we get in contact with Jagoda and what happens afterwards. So as Jagoda was saying, right now they are taking part in the action 1 and action 2 of InnoBuyer only. So we are currently in action 2. We will very soon launch a call for solvers, for innovative SMEs, to select the best SMEs to enter the pilots that with challengers that are taking part in the 4 actions. So in this case specific, what we suggest, if you are interested in this challenge in specific, you can stay tuned to new information, and the discussion page that we were just mentioning at F6S is a good place for you to keep an eye for additional discussions, for asking more questions that you may have. So the suggestion would be to keep the discussion after today, keep the discussion there on that page. I don't see any other questions pending. As I was saying, there will be a call for solvers coming up this month of October. So by following the InnoBuyer channels, the SME is interested in the challenges currently selected for the 4 stages, or the ones on the reserve list, like this one. In the announcement of the call for solvers, all the details will be available then. I can see that Bertrand raised the hand. Bertrand,
yes, absolutely. I don't know if you see me, because I don't see me anymore on the screen. So I disappeared, but still,
we hear you.
Yeah, you hear me, and I was carefully listening, Jagoda, in the previous exchanges. So, so just to mention, that, yes, I heard the calls that you launched, and also actually from one of the person that intervened. The call for indeed support from us, the EIC, and perhaps from other services of the European Commission in relation to to this, as I said in my introduction, the strategic aspect of greening hydrogen production. And I know that there are several initiatives running in parallel with a huge European investment in going in that direction. So indeed, it seems very promising what you're trying to do, Jagoda, on your side from the German Aerospace Center. And definitely, just to say that your comments and calls didn't fall on the floor, if I can say. Indeed, I would suggest that we closely keep in contact, apart from these initiatives of this open market consultation, in order to see how far we can bring you some extra support on some of the aspects that you raised. This said, just to recall on the process that indeed this process of open market consultation that will be soon open with the application given with the possibility given to SMEs and startups to apply to solve your challenge. Will, as you said, Katia, will open soon, by next month, the latest. And then once the company or the companies will be selected to work on your challenge, then they will have 10 months to co-create with you guys So just to say that this this framework is rather fixed, and it is a competition based framework. If we want to work in a full transparency and equal treatment of all the different potential candidates, and indeed, nonetheless, you can follow, as Katia was saying, all the information that will be shared on the F6S platform, and indeed you will find also the resume of the today's discussion open for any candidates in order to have the same level of information. But it was greatly appreciated from our side, all these exchanges, and this challenge is very interesting. And so we can guarantee you that indeed, apart from by your excellent work, you will have our support as much as we can, Jagoda. So yeah, crossing the fingers, and perhaps there are some extra remark or questions from the audience. Katia.
Yes, thank you. So we do have a question here. Will there be a template for the solvers to propose their solutions? The answer is yes. Once the call for solvers is launched, we will make available a full document, the guidelines for applicants detailing all the rules of the game, all the information about the call. And along with that, they will be made available a template that the SMEs wanting to apply to the call should use when submitting their application. Okay, so I think this one is answered, and all those materials, of course, will be made available on InnoBuyer's website. So all the information will be concentrated there for you to have access to it. I don't see any other question pending, neither any other hand raised. Maybe, Jakob, I can just ask something. Previously, when you were talking about your involvement in the pilot and how you can collaborate to add value to the pilot, can you provide us an idea of the type of people from your side that will be involved in this pilot, in these developments?
Yeah, so I think at the moment we would focus mostly on just testing of the functional materials, right? So I would be the responsible person for this. But so all the tests and electrochemical characterization, and then prepping like small reports and suggesting the new ways where to go and what to improve in case of another iteration of the materials. That would be done both with me and some other specialists on the electrolysis sector.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm giving just a few more seconds to see if any other question or comment comes up. If not, I think we can move to the end of the session. As we said, the conversation doesn't end here. If other questions come along later on, there will still be the opportunity to address them. So no new questions coming up. So I think we can move to the final part of the event. So we are reaching the end of this open market consultation session. Let me thank Jagoda for her time today here explaining all the details about her challenge. And of course to the attendees that are following this session that shared comments and shared their questions that were very much appreciated. Just a few reminders before we close. The conversation doesn't end here. We have the discussion page that we can still use to clarify other things. Stay tuned for the upcoming call for solvers that is coming later on this month. So we will invite you to follow the InnoBuyer news through one of the channels that you are seeing here, the InnoBuyer website, subscribing the newsletter, following on social media, because as soon as the call for solvers is open, all the information will be made available there. And so you will be the first to know that the call is launched, all the rules of the game, the template that should be used, all the information will be there. So thank you all for joining us here today once again, and have a nice day.